Afternoon. I just wanted to, thank you all for being here today. I am Christina McDonald. I'm actually your state education chair, and we're doing something a little bit different this month. Maybe a lot of you have been following our Freddie Mac series that we've been doing, and we have another series, another event coming up on looks like November 12th at 11 o'clock. Um, Today we're introducing the East Bay chapter, and we have Dale DeGennaro, who is our state president and a longtime director, on the board, on the East Bay board, and Jason Bellevue, who is vice president and also on the East Bay board, and also Ben Bellevue, who will be going through, really just teaching us online presence and what really matters. You guys go ahead and take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you guys, I know we're introducing the board, so you guys want to talk first, or should I just dive into what I have to say?
Yeah, I'm going to say a little bit about membership. Membership does matter. So we'd like to see anybody that's not a member, please consider joining. You'll get a lot more out of it than you put into it. It's only $199. If you're an MLO to join as a broker, it's $299. You get discounted services, networking events, you get plugged in to what's happening, a chance to make a difference in your industry. So please join. We need you and you need us to help defend what you do every day out there originating loans. So keep that in mind. Also, I do want to make a quick plug for our 2024 Harvest Expo fall camp. That'll be in San Francisco, South San Francisco, on Tuesday, November 19th, and it's 10 to 4 p.m. And we'll feature Mortgage Pros 411, Audrey and Kevin, who you all know well. And so we hope to see you there. We'll follow up with a couple of keynote speakers, and that'll be followed by a great trade show and a happy hour at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. Anything you want to mention, Jason?
Not that I can think of right now, other than the Harvest Show. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be Mortgage Pros 411 live. So it's kind of their first live event of that. So it'll be interesting, and they'll have some great guests.
So we hope to see everybody there. That's at the Voss Cultural Center, and again, that's Tuesday, November 19th, and it's 10 to 4. With that, we'll turn it over, I think, to Ben to take over the rest of the afternoon or the hour. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, hi, I'm Ben Bellevue. As you may have guessed from the last name, I'm Jason's son. I don't work in real estate whatsoever, but what I do have is I work in YouTube. I'm a producer and brand manager for a YouTube channel with 6.6 million subscribers right now. And I also, because, oh, he moved on my screen. Because Jason has owned his company and worked in real estate since I was like 6. I grew up around mortgage and around real estate, so I have probably a better understanding of the industry than someone in my position who did not have him or someone like him for a dad would. So that gives me a bit more of an insight into how to merge YouTube and merge just general online presence with creating something specific to your industry. So with that, I'm going to, if I can, share my screen. I can. Beautiful. I love that. And go through a PowerPoint that I made. So basically, we're just talking about building your online presence and what that means. And I will see how it feels to go through this without being able to look any of you in the eyes. We'll find out. Basically, who the hell am I? I talked about it a little bit already. This is me. I'm the brand manager for a channel called Dead Meat. We have, it says 6.5, it's 6.6 now, doesn't really matter. And we have a TikTok with over 800,000 followers. And I grew up in the mortgage real estate industry. Yeah, I could have started with this presentation from the beginning. Didn't, it's fine. So let's talk about building an online presence. I know that for a lot of people in this industry, when you're thinking about marketing yourself, when you're thinking about getting your name out there, the social media and YouTube is the thing you're constantly thinking about. It is, with Mortgage 411, it's what they're thinking about. And if you're going to do that, going into it, you need to be asking yourself a few big questions. And one of those is, what do you want out of this? So for example, a lot of social media for a lot of companies that I've seen can just kind of be, here is a house we recently put up for listing, or here is a recent renovation that we did for this new to turn around and sell this house, stuff like that. And that works great, but it does also limit your market, because realistically, if I'm on Instagram, let's say, and I'm looking for someone to follow, I'm probably not looking for a social media that is primarily just showing newly listed houses by them, unless I'm specifically looking for a house. So that version of social media kind of just becomes a database for people immediately interested to search, and that's fine. But I know for a lot of people, you want to have a larger audience than that. You want people to already be thinking of you. So for example, before I had my current job, during the early ages of the pandemic, I was running social media for RAF, for my dad's mortgage and real estate company. And one of the things that I was doing was I was finding lots of interesting listings across the East Bay, and I was putting those up 3 times a week so that it could generate interest in like choosing the most interesting listings, because lots of people spend time searching Zillow just looking for houses. There's interest in homes, and that can apply to lots of things you do. That can apply to like creating TikTok. That can apply to creating that can even apply to creating YouTube videos. There's a reason that HGTV is so popular. People like seeing homes. So that's the first question becomes, what do you want out of this? And I'm sorry also if I'm like going very fast. The last time I gave this presentation, I could see people and like pause and people could ask questions, and I can't do that now, and that's different. And then who's your audience? I mean, that's kind of what we're touching on right now. If you're looking to just attract people who are immediately looking for houses, or who are immediately looking to rent, or immediately looking to buy, that is a different audience than if you're looking to attract people who, maybe 5 years from now or 3 years from now already know your name when they're looking to buy. And then finally, what's your niche? And this is a big one, especially if you're looking to make something like a YouTube channel. And that's what I kind of want to focus on the most in the majority of this presentation, because your niche really dictates a lot of sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Your niche is going to matter a lot in terms of who you are appealing to, how you're bringing them in, and what you're trying to essentially sell them. Because I know the last time I gave this presentation, a lot of people talked about doing, like, they had a YouTube channel where they talked about finance, or they talked about like different things that were happening within the real estate market. But sorry, I'm freezing here for a second. But creating a video, creating any kind of social media is storytelling. I'm going to call it storytelling because I come from a film background, but functionally it's sales. It's the same exact thing. It's how do you get someone's interest immediately and then use that to take them on the journey that you want to take them on. So moving on from that, because we're going to get back to that in a second. Just to quickly go over some examples. Let's say you want to quickly gain new clients. That means that your audience is probably going to be smaller. You're looking for people who are immediately looking for mortgages or immediately looking for housing rentals, depending on, I know this is generally a mortgage group, but I don't know. I'm assuming there's like overlap of real estate. But yeah, if you're looking for people who are immediate clients, like I said earlier, your audience is going to be smaller. It's going to be more niche. You are, in that case, probably putting out things that are more immediately relevant to someone who is looking for a mortgage. So for example, if you think that someone is going to be confused by the different mortgage types, you can put out a video or a TikTok or an Instagram explainer that is more like dry and focused on that thing specifically, because you're looking to attract people who are probably already searching that, who are trying to understand it immediately. And for that, your platform can be YouTube, but in that case, I'd recommend thinking about smaller short form videos as well, like Instagram, like TikTok, where you can do that a bit more quickly because you're not trying to create, making a long form video on YouTube is expensive, or can be expensive. It requires time, it requires effort. And vertical videos, places like Instagram and TikTok have a lot more room for pointing and shooting and getting that 3-minute, 4-minute explainer video out there. Now, let's say that you aren't looking to do that. Let's say you're person B. You're looking to build long-term brand recognition. You don't necessarily want to make money off of social media itself, but you want an audience who thinks of you, who knows you. And when they are thinking, oh, I want a realtor, when they are thinking, oh, I need a mortgage professional, they already have your name in the back of their mind because they've been watching you already. In that case, you're going to want to appeal on a broader level, which may very well already make sense to you. But essentially, you are not necessarily to the point that I was talking about with doing the houses around the East Bay. That wasn't necessarily appealing to people who were looking to buy those houses in that moment. It was appealing to people who liked seeing the coolest houses in the area. And 4 years from then, 5 years from then, whether they are ever at a point to afford the coolest houses that you can find, they might be looking to rent and go, oh, well, I know a realtor that I can reach out to. And then if you want to make money through digital media, which I know I've talked to some people in the industry who are looking to build an actual platform that can get sponsorships and can generate ad revenue, which makes sense because, again, the world of creating digital media is time consuming and expensive. You need time to edit, you need time to theoretically write a video, and all that takes time. And if that's your goal, then you're probably going to want the largest audience you can get, which also means that you are going to want the probably broadest niche that you can appeal to. So instead of just, oh, here is some, you're going to want the largest audience you can appeal to. So you're going to start getting broader. You're going to start looking at discussing things further out of real estate exclusively, further out of mortgages exclusively. So for example, you can decide that your niche is more focused on financials, or you can decide that your niche is more focused on, as essentially you can view it as you're like a financial channel, and sometimes that channel is going to be focused on specifically mortgage, but you're an expert in finance overall, and you can talk to those larger things, and that's going to appeal to the largest audience. Or if you can find a way to discuss real estate in a way that is broader and more interesting. This isn't real estate specifically, but an example that I would say is can be very apt here is there's a YouTube channel called Legal Eagle, which is a lawyer, and he's a partner in his law firm, and his entire YouTube channel, which has millions of followers, generates a lot of money. but he still has his mortgage or his law practice, is about interpreting pop culture through legal terms. So he'll have videos about like how legal is, like how accurate is the legality of this episode of TV. That was one of the things that got him started. Or he can have episodes about, hey, here's this big news event. Let me break down the legality of it. And that's kind of the different areas of audience that you're looking at. You're looking at large, where you are really trying to hit, where you're trying to make money and you're trying to hit the broadest audience possible, and you really want to be thinking about, oh, there's a Q&A function. That's cool. What's keeping me up at night? So many things. But there's the broadest function where you can appeal to pop culture. There is the so yeah, example of a broad topic. Great, thank you. I like that there's a Q&A function here. So an example of a broad topic. Let's say you wanted to talk about houses. You want your channel to really be focused on real estate and houses and appeal to that. But you want it to be engaging and eye-catching and interesting. So, and let's say you want to also get education in there. You want people to genuinely be learning about real estate, the same way that, in the example of legal, and law, talking about the episodes of a TV show that deal with law and explaining what is and is not actually like legal and how a courtroom works is genuine education. You can watch that and genuinely learn about law and practices and the differences between how things are presented. So if you're looking at a real estate example of that, you could look at, on a small form, let's go small form first, because this is pretty common on social media, on like TikTok and Instagram. I've seen a lot of people do videos where their followers, just people who've seen their videos, can be like, hey, I make this much money, my partner makes this much money, we're looking for a house, like what roughly could we afford as a mortgage? And they do that, and they'll like continuously have those kinds of conversations. Or on the more real estate side, you have people who will look at like apartments for beautiful apartment listings and beautiful house listings, but broader form, sorry. If you're looking to do a large YouTube channel, you're looking to really make money. And not to say that like you'll make money fast, YouTube is a hard game, but broad YouTube channel, let's say you are looking at talking about the 5 most unrealistic, let's say this, here's an example, 5 most unrealistic apartments on TV shows. So the hook of that is, your audience can, like anyone scrolling on YouTube, your audience or new subscribers can see this and be like, oh, I love TV. Oh yeah, like the Friends apartment is so unrealistically large for how much money they supposedly make. But you can use that as an inroad to explain actual real estate or mortgage concepts. You can use that to discuss like, okay, well, this character has this job, which on average would make this much money, but this house in this neighborhood is probably going to look like a mortgage of roughly this much money, and here's the unrealistic aspects of that. And you can find, it takes time, it takes a lot of thought, but you can always find different ways to tie things into pop culture or just generally into things that people already have interest in. So that is kind of how I'd say you'd go for a large platform. But moving on from that, let's talk about digital video itself. There's 6 keys in my mind of making digital media, whether that is YouTube, whether that is TikTok, whether that is Instagram. But again, I'm going to focus primarily on YouTube, as that is where I operate the most. And one is be authentic. And this is really important. I think a lot of people will go into any space where they could theoretically get fame, where they're trying to gain an audience, and they see the flashy thumbnails and they see the unrealistic pitches. A lot of, if we're looking at financial YouTube is often has a lot of channels that are under fire because they will start pitching more and more extreme ways to build money fast because it generates interest. People click, but those also burn out fast and they quickly become untrusted. So an important thing, and even if you look outside of financial YouTube, a big shift that we're seeing in YouTube overall is there was a little while where YouTube was very focused on spending a lot of money on nice sets and nice equipment and everything looking great and things being edited very heavily to be fast and quick. And that's changed a lot. And what you see a lot now on YouTube is almost not, I don't want to say inauthentic authenticity, but it's selling authenticity to you. Where you'll see a lot of people who will, for example, hold their microphone up to them. So like I can hold my mic like this, and you see people talking like this on YouTube videos, doing essentially exactly what I'm doing right now, sitting here at their desk with a video camera pointing at them, holding their microphone, because there's a kind of, it creates a sense of authenticity and in the moment and realness to it, that things are less manufactured. Even if they still wrote an entire script, it makes audiences feel more connected to them, and it's become very popular because people are really looking for authenticity. And then detail number two, and I mentioned this earlier, this is, I'd say, the most important lesson you can take from this is just storytelling is king. Sales essentially is king. And that is to say that you want to hook them fast and you want to keep them engaged. I think a lot of people, when they're looking to, like, if you think about even going back to like school, when you were in high school or elementary school or whatever, or college, the teachers that you liked the most, the classes you learned in the most, are the ones who, whether you were interested in the subject or not, they could pull you in. And I think that it's very easy when you're trying to educate, when you're trying to make videos, to get caught up in presenting the information first and not necessarily thinking about why people will be interested, whether it is why people will click on the video or it is why they'll stay watching the video. So, and I have this conversation in my job too often because, we do interviews. Like, our channel's a horror channel. We talk about horror movies, and we do interviews with actors and stuff from horror movies. And if you just put up a video that is interview with X celebrity, you're not giving and it's like a 40-minute video, you're not giving the audience anything to grasp onto there. Some people will be interested. They might be interested in that celebrity, sure. But a lot of people won't be. They'll look at the 40-minute video, they'll have no context or understanding for what it's going to be. And that's why most interviews you see on YouTube, you'll see people using titles that explain a little bit of what you're getting into. So it's, let's say you're talking to an actress about how she got into her first movie role, and if you just titled the video, interview with this celebrity, no one's going to know that. But even if your interview goes beyond that, even if you have, 10 minutes of talking about how she got her first job and then 30 minutes of other stuff, by titling it, how she built her way into being this big actress, it gives people an understanding and something to grasp onto. And that's really, really key, is within YouTube, your first 30 seconds, I'd say, is really key to getting people interested, getting people hooked, and giving people a question. When you're like, if anyone's ever watched mystery television, because everything is storytelling. Storytelling is sales and sales is storytelling. When you watch a mystery show, when you watch a whodunit movie, one of the big things that keeps you engaged is you're wondering what the answer is. And that's something that's really valuable in getting people interested in a video as well. If you build your education around asking a question in the beginning and building to that answer throughout the video, then you are holding people's attention in a way that they wouldn't if you were just, and here's an explanation on XYZ. So it's all about storytelling. It's all about hooking people early and making sure that they want to stay through. And it's about hooking people in the thumbnail for the video, which we'll talk about more. It's about hooking people in the title for the video, and it's about hooking people when they start the video. And you don't just want to hook people when you start the video. You also want to confirm for them that they're getting into what they think they're getting into. So if the title and thumbnail is telling them this is what the video is about, and they start the video and the video does not seem to be about that at all, they'll leave, they'll drop off, they'll go, oh, this isn't what I expected. So that's all a very long explanation to basically say first impressions matter, and first impressions are how you hold on to an audience. Number 3, understand your niche. We talked about that already. Whether you are looking to make videos about finance, whether you're looking to make videos about real estate, whether you're looking to make videos about something else entirely, not just understanding your niche in the sense of, knowing about finance, but also understanding your niche on the platform you're operating on. So again, YouTube as the main example. Look up who's already working in that space. Look up what they're talking about, how their videos open, how their thumbnails look. And that's not to say, completely ape the style of someone else, but if there's a shared visual language, it is useful to know what that language is. And it's also useful to know how you can differentiate yourself, how you can tweak it a little bit to be true to you and also to make you not just one of a million people saying the exact same thing. And then know your platform. It's very similar to the same concept as understanding your niche. It's, if you're on YouTube, how does YouTube work? What is the typical length of a video, especially, again, within your niche, but also outside of your niche? Are people watching more and more long form videos? Are people watching more and more, 5-10 minute videos? YouTube, for example, I would say has been trending towards longer form stuff, 30-minute videos, hour-long videos. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that. It's just understanding the world you're operating in. And with TikTok has recently been skewing more towards long form as well. That platform started as something where videos that did well were 15 seconds long, and they were playing off of essentially they were repeating jokes other people had already made, but with a twist. And so, a 15-second video that was playing off of the same joke is what would do well. And now TikTok is trying to compete more with YouTube, more with long form content. And as a result, it has become more of a platform for people talking for 3 minutes long, people talking for 10 minutes long. So there's a lot more room in that space to still be educational, to still just in a more condensed form. But it's playing in a more similar space to what YouTube is now. And even YouTube Shorts, which is YouTube's essentially competitor to TikTok, because the entire digital media platform is an Ouroboros trying to eat itself alive at all times. That just extended the length of how long one of their videos can be from 1 minute, which is what it started as, to 3 minutes, which is more in line with where a lot of TikTok videos are. TikTok has already extended themselves to 10, but a lot of TikTok videos still tend to stay around the 3-minute length, if not under. So, basically, it's always changing. Digital media is always changing. What Instagram is promoting, what TikTok is promoting, what YouTube is promoting is a nebulous landscape. But when you're building your platform, it's just important to know how it's working in that moment and be keeping an eye on how it's working. Which again, digital media is a job in and of itself. Whether that is social media with Instagram and TikTok, or whether that is a full YouTube channel, it can be a lot. I know. Don't really have unfortunately, a one-stop, just like here's the answer to how all of these work. But people do really like education. Like, to be clear, people like to learn stuff. I would say that's a very popular and common thing on these platforms. It's just a matter of getting people's engagement very quickly and getting people interested very quickly. But if you can, there is a world out there of people who are looking to learn and have fun and be educated. And then developing your ideas. This is also very important. You know, it's not just about one of the best pieces of advice I've heard about making YouTube videos, about especially like educational YouTube videos, but really any, and this can apply to TikTok as well, is don't necessarily go into it thinking about like, here's the overall topic of my video. Go into it sorry, that's entirely phrased wrong. I'm going back. One of the best pieces of advice I saw was think with your title first. So if you're making, I've made a spreadsheet where when I'm trying to brainstorm new video ideas, I'm brainstorming what the title of that video is. It's almost like, again, taking it back to school, it's like building a thesis. If you think of your title as your thesis statement, you know, it helps structure your entire video to know what your thesis is and what you're promoting it as. So instead of just going, oh, I want to talk about, you know, this topic, or I want to educate about this thing, and then essentially working backwards to how do I hook people, think about what are some ideas that can be fun, that can tie into whatever your niche is, whether that is finance, whether that is real estate, whether that is, you know, a smaller niche like just mortgages specifically. You can, by thinking title first, you can be thinking of ways to make it engaging to begin with, and then be tying in the educational aspect of that. And finally, and this is really important, fail. You're gonna fail. That's the nature of it. And I'm also realizing as I'm saying this, I'm pretty sure I had like other slides for each of these. Let's find out if I did. It's almost like I failed. That wasn't purposeful. Yeah, be authentic, be yourself, be passionate about your subject. Don't overproduce your videos. Storytelling is king. Form over function. I didn't talk about that, sorry. Form over function is basically just saying, if you have there, so I think within the concept of film, because that's again where I come from. If you have ever watched a movie and noticed a continuity error, for example, like a character has makeup on in one shot and then the next shot the makeup's like gone, and you're like, oh, why didn't the editor catch that? Why didn't they catch that? Generally, the reason is because within storytelling, what matters most is the story itself. If they caught the mistake, generally they caught the mistake. They knew it happened. But if the mistake, if the visual mistake of it does not matter as much as the ability to tell the story. So for example, the actor's performance is just best in the take where the makeup is gone. You want to tell the story first. And in the scope of YouTube, you know, if you don't have the most polished editing, if you don't have the best camera, that's fine. What matters more than anything is telling your story in a way that engages people and a way that pulls people in. Yeah, understand your niche. What are the details of it? Like we said, how popular is it? What are the thumbnails, titles usually look like? How do they open their videos? What are comments saying? Also great advice. Good job, old Ben. And can you build connections here? That's also really important. You know, a lot of times ways people get discovered are through appearing on other people's I hate the word content, videos. Whether that is YouTube, whether it is TikTok, people who are already engaging with creators in that space can discover you through you connecting with creators in that space and what makes you unique. Know your platform. Yeah, YouTube, longer form, 20, 40 minutes average. Discoverability through suggestions, thumbnails, and titles, basically search engine optimization. People also often film on a phone or a simple camera, but you can totally use a phone. And editing is typically done through Premiere. It can be rough, focus on story, like I said. Vertical video, short form stuff like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. Discoverability, and this is really important, is through scrolling. And this is something you have to understand. I've seen a lot of people who will, especially people who've come from YouTube, but also just people who are kind of thinking of it as like their social media. They view these, they will open the videos with, hey, me again, or hey, good to see, like the way you greet somebody. But the reality is that the majority of people who watch your videos on platforms like TikTok, like YouTube Shorts, have probably not seen you before. They're scrolling through a For You page that is suggesting you to them. And if you spend 10 seconds introducing yourself, it doesn't tell them anything about what this video is. You want to be opening your short form videos, immediately making sure people understand what the video is about. And there's different ways you can do that. It can be saying the topic right out the gate, like, you know, check out this great apartment in Silver Lake. I live in Los Angeles, so that's my reference point. But it can also be text on screen. There's a lot, especially lately, there's a lot more people who, if there's no good way to make the video clear in terms of just where you start it, they'll just have text at the top of the screen that says essentially the title of the video, since the titles are not there baked in. And yeah, for editing for that, you can use Premiere, which is Adobe. Adobe Premiere is an editing software. You can also use Final Cut on Apple products, but I prefer Premiere personally. Or you can edit within the app. TikTok has an editing system. It's getting more and more robust as time goes on, and it's probably a bit simpler to learn for people who are less educated in editing. And yeah, when we're talking about, you know, filming styles, like I said, like I kind of gave the example of, a lot of people are doing very simple filming styles. It is a camera pointed at them. It is them sitting at a desk or sitting at a chair with a very basic background that you do not need to like overproduce or get too anxious about how does my set look. And when you're thinking about thumbnails, again, to the point that I made earlier, look at what people in kind of the niche that you're looking to appeal to are doing. So if you look at this, you know, this top left one is pretty common among educational and financial YouTube. It's not exclusive to finance. I've seen this in channels that primarily talk about world news. I've seen this in channels that talk about like specifically the YouTube industry and learning about that, which you can also seek out if you want to learn more about YouTube or TikTok or any of these. There's lots of videos out there that are also great explainers for that. And you know, even working in the industry, there's times where I check those out to like keep myself informed about what's going on and what's working and what isn't. And then, yeah, this is the example I gave in the bottom left of Legal Eagle, which is that law version of it. And that is, you know, giving you the face that people recognize. You don't have to do that by any means. Like if we look at, I mean, honestly, a lot of these are kind of using the host's face. But I know people who don't like to do that. You totally don't have to. You can use the topic that you're talking about instead. And a key thing here is your title and your thumbnail are both things that are going to be seen together. So I think a common mistake that I've also often seen people make is they will write a title for their YouTube video and they'll put their title into the thumbnail itself, like word for word into the thumbnail. But that title is right there. People are going to look at it if they want to understand better. So oftentimes, lots of people don't put any text into thumbnails. That's totally an option. Or they'll put very simple text like, converting this $30 million AI is hiding a scam into just saying scam on the screen, or converting Alec Baldwin freed on prosecutorial misconduct into just charge dismissed, something quicker, easier, more eye-catching. So when looking at thumbnails, look at the niche you're working in, but this is some good, simple reference points for how that works. Yeah, develop ideas. Like I said, brainstorm ideas and titles, explore topics in your niche to see what people are interested in and talking about. A really good way you can kind of figure out what people are already engaging with is going to social media and platforms where people already talk about it. So for example, you could go to Reddit, and if there's a financial r/financials Reddit, or if there's an r/mortgage Reddit, or even more niche ones, basically any space where people might be looking to learn and be asking questions, you can see what topics people are already engaging with and build videos off of that. Find the questions people are asking and be the answer that they were looking for, essentially. And test on a smaller scale, which essentially just means if you're looking to do a 20 to 40 minute long form YouTube video and you aren't sure your topic is going to get people's interest, you can make a 3-minute long TikTok or YouTube video that is going to be able to gauge interest. If that video does well, you go, okay, there's interest in this. People are wanting to hear about this. I can do a longer form version of it. And yeah, like I said when I failed to click through all these in the beginning, fail. And what does that mean? It basically just means you're going to stumble. You're going to have to learn from those failures, adapt, experiment, but also it means you're going to have fun. Like it's all trial and error, and that can be demotivating and that can be frustrating, and building an audience can be difficult. But making videos is to a degree an art form, and when dealing within the arts, people stumble and fail and try for a long time often before they hit their big success, and that's part of the fun of it. It means that you can figure out what you like to do. It means that you can figure out how you want to communicate to your audience. And, there's that saying that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And not to say that you want to spend 10 years to build up whatever following you're looking to build, or will spend 10 years. For every person who spends 10 years to be an overnight success, there are people who genuinely just kind of stumble into it. But it'll take time, and that's part of the fun of it. And you can gain a lot of important information from that, from seeing what is working and what isn't working. Keep track of that data, keep track of, especially if you're looking in YouTube or any social media platform, there's lots of analytics that you can pull from. You can see, at what point in your video people drop off watching. There's always going to be drop off. That's extremely common. People, start watching a video and then while they're cooking, and then they finish cooking and they stop the video halfway through. So don't think that, if you're dipping in views consistently throughout the length of the video, that it's a sign of the video being bad. But if you notice a point where people really drop, if you notice that one video is holding a lot better than others, you can learn from that. And similarly with your titles, YouTube has an algorithm called click-through rate, which is essentially for every person who sees your video, how many of them click on it. So if your click-through rate is low for a video, which I'd say like a really good click-through rate for a video is 10%, a decent over the course of, let's say, like 24 hours, a decent click-through rate is like 7, and a bad one would be 5. So if 5% of people are seeing your video and aren't clicking on it, you can learn from that. You can go, okay, maybe the thumbnail isn't working, maybe the title isn't working. And lots of YouTubers, even successful ones still now, if they see that the click-through for a video isn't working, they will change the thumbnail even after it's live, or they'll change the title even after it's live to see if that change gets people clicking on it more going forward. And that can be a really useful tool as well to bump numbers up once your video is live. There it is, click-through rates. Wow, I knew that one. And drop-off rate. Yeah, talked about that too. Wow. And then, yeah, another one is new versus returning viewers. If all of your views are coming from people who have already been watching you, then you are not necessarily growing beyond. Ooh, a question. That's fun. If you're ready to launch a YouTube channel, if someone is ready to launch a YouTube channel and has more than a dozen ready to release videos, what do you recommend as the timing gap between releases? So I would say that there isn't necessarily a it isn't necessarily a matter of this is how long of a gap you should have between videos, so much as it is how consistently can you put videos out. So if you have 12 videos ready to release and those took you time and a while, and you don't think you will have another 12 for, let's say, 6 months, then those first 12 can cover the first 6 months of video output. So you can release a video every other week, 2 videos per month, 6 months worth of videos. If you think that you can turn around videos in a week's time, then 1 video a week. And once those are done, you're presumably already working on the next videos. So that's really the key. A lot of key of YouTube is consistency. Not to say that everyone does that, but especially for education, for videos like this, and for someone just getting started, where you really want the algorithm to be favoring you, consistency is very valuable. So having videos that are relatively similar in length, not necessarily like to the minute, just kind of, if you're releasing a bunch of videos that are 25 minutes long and then you have a 5-minute long video, the algorithm is going to be like, well, this isn't the kind of video that your audience normally watches, and not necessarily push it. But if you have a 25-minute video and a 35-minute video, those are already kind of being considered longer videos. But the point is simply also consistency. So if you can do once a week, do once a week. If you can do every other week, do every other week, but kind of commit to that schedule and be aiming for that schedule. Yeah. And that's failing. And that's also the end of the presentation. But yeah, basically, if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to ask in the question and answer form. But basically, it's just a matter of, I think we can very easily get in our heads when we're thinking about making videos or thinking about creating any kind of like art, let's say, that um, that it's something foreign that we don't understand, but everyone knows how to tell a story, whether you are talking to your friends and telling them about the week you had, or you are thinking about it as sales. If you're, trying to get someone to be interested in your company or be interested in a specific thing you're trying to sell them on. It's all the same thing. It's hooking them early. It is keeping them engaged throughout. It's kind of a basic human instinct, and there's really no like absolutely. I just took you through a lot of information and fully understand that, and there is a lot of information that goes into this, but also at the core of it, it is kind of just basic human instinct. It is what is too frequent video release? You can do once a day. I'd say if you're doing once a day, it should be shorter videos. Because just, if your audience is seeing you put out 30-minute videos or 20-minute videos every single day, then they aren't necessarily going to click on all of them. And that can be fine, but it limits things. It is a lot of videos for them to be watching over and over and over. Whereas if it is twice a week, it's a lot easier. Like, oh, there's a new 20-minute video Wednesday and a new 20-minute video Friday. It's easier to dedicate your time. But if you're doing every single day, I would say maybe like those have to be 10-minute videos, tops. Something that is much more easily digestible. Something you can, watch when you're cleaning some dishes very quickly, or watch when you're microwaving your lunch. but there is not a guaranteed idea of this is too frequent. I would say for sure not more than one a day. And again, but also again, there are channels that do that. There are YouTubers that do that where they have a very kind of they recommend certain equipment. So yeah, where they have a very kind of like shotgun approach, throw as much out there as possible. People will watch what they watch, but those are channels that are generally trying to really generate revenue from having as many things as possible. And also usually they're trying to hit on a bunch of trending things at once. If you are not trying to hit the most trendy pop culture thing, then I would say that I'd say maybe like three, three longer form, maybe five shorter, like 5 to 10 minute videos, depending on just what length you're looking at. And again, also how quickly you think you can turn those around, which I do think is the more important thing here. And then Peaches was asking, do I recommend certain equipment, camera, mic, etc.? Yeah, so for filming, I genuinely think you can just use your phone. Not to say that you should never look to upgrade to a camera, but phone cameras are very good. It's going to take a lot of money to get a video camera that is that much better, and it isn't necessarily going to be worth it. So I'd say the only reason I'd recommend a video camera proper right out the gate is, for example, and even this is kind of different. Um, if you have a MacBook or like an Apple-based device, I know now you can use your phone's video camera as essentially your webcam. So if you are working off of a PC and you want to record directly to the PC, then yeah, you might want a point and shoot video camera that you can use with that. But like there's not an inherent reason you should do that. You can just as easily record to the phone and then just upload that footage. And then in terms of microphones, I think a really good starting mic is actually the one that I showed earlier. It's called a Blue Yeti microphone. It looks like this. Lots of people get confused and think you're supposed to talk into it here. You're not. You talk into it here. But they're very good. They're quite affordable. They're like $150. And you can even go lower. Sorry, this isn't, yeah, no, this is a Blue Yeti. You can even go lower. They have a Blue Snowball, which is like $50, and those are also still quite good. But there's a lot of options there if you ever do want to scale it up. I would say if you're trying to decide between spending money on audio equipment or spending money on video equipment, again, because phone cameras are so good, I would say the audio equipment is the thing to really be more interested in spending the money on. Because also, you know, a lot of people watch YouTube videos while they're working or while they're cooking. They're going to be hearing it more than they're going to be looking at it. But these work great. And like I said, a lot of channels nowadays use that kind of more authentic, like holding the microphone up to them, so you don't have to worry as much about, you know, will it be in the shot, will it be visible? But again, also by that same metric, I can put this like right over here out of frame. It will still pick up what I'm saying, and you can record that way as well. Yeah. Anything else?
Hey, Ben, real quick, you had recommended a camera for me that I know I picked up. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to just mention that one. It wasn't overly expensive, truthfully.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly which one I recommended to you because that was a couple years ago, I think, and camera like technology changes. The reality is simply I work at a company where we do have very expensive cameras with very expensive lenses that are a pain in the ass to fix. But you don't need to, you by no means need to be dealing with that. I think what I recommended to you, I want to say was a Canon or Sony. It was a Canon. Was it the Canon GX7 PowerShot? Yeah. Okay. Canon GX7 PowerShot is good. It's a good camera with a lot of point and shoot cameras, especially. The one thing you do also have to be concerned about is overheating. So like for my channel, we have some point and shoot cameras that we use for like on the go filming, and those, especially if you're filming in 4K, can only film for so long before they overheat. So another reason that I honestly recommend phones as a really good starting point is just they don't do that. They can record for a while as long as you have enough storage on them. They can record in 4K, assuming you have a pretty good phone at this point, and you don't even need to record in 4K. Like it's a good 1080p phone recording is really all you need for at least well into like you starting a video career or starting a video offshoot to drive interest. Yeah.
All right, I think we need to wrap things up. Want to thank Ben very much for all his expertise and insight into making videos. And I also want to introduce Mr. George Tribble, which down on the bottom right of my screen here. He's the East Bay chapter president, and he's a past president of the association as well. George, would you like to say hi? I don't know if we can hear you or not, but if
Yes, thank you. I apologize for being late. I had an emergency. And so when I looked up, it was like 25 minutes after the hour. So I think I thank everyone for coming. And it looked like we got a lot of good information today, too. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And I just want to thank Ben again and also remind everybody, membership does matter. Go to thecampsite.org. That's thecampsite.org and join. We need you. You need us. And don't forget about our fall camp, which is a Harvest Expo featuring Mortgage Pros 411, Audrey and Kevin. And that'll be Tuesday, November 19th at the Boss Community Center. And that's in South San Francisco. And we'll feature also an expo trade show with A-Paper, non-QM, and some private money lenders. You don't want to miss that, with a little happy hour at the end of the day, so we'll all have a little fun. With that, any last words, Ben?
Thank you for having me. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you very much. Christina, are you still there?
I am here.
Would you like to mention anything specifically regarding
Just,
any of our?
just a reminder that we do have our Freddie Mac, next education meeting, which will be on the 12th at 11 o'clock. It's about moving loans from, and kind of keeping up with moving loans and making sure that you get and accept on an LPA.
Great. And there is another event too, which is another webinar that we have on November 7th. That's at Thursday, November 7th. It's at 10 a.m. And that's on the new ROV process, reconsideration of value. So you don't want to miss that either. Look for that in your email, and we hope to see you there. Jason, any last words?
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, so much. Everybody have an excellent day, excellent week. We'll see you soon.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.